As this National Vocations Awareness Week comes to a conclusion, I am privileged to address a few short reflections to you, and it's a privilege to do so. This Vocations Awareness Week is so important because all of us are able to see how various vocations in the church are lived out. So this week, you met one of our great newly ordained priests. You met a religious man. You met a religious sisters, principal of IHM school. You met a permanent deacon and a local married couple, and you heard from them how they came to realize what their vocation in life was to be, and you heard their witness of how they are living out that vocation in the life of the church. Now, we're going through this awful pandemic right now, and I pray to the dear Lord that a vaccine will soon be found and made available. Why? So we can all get back together in person. I miss all the interactions that used to be possible. And what I miss most is that as I would travel around to different parishes and to schools and other ministries, I would meet people who were living out all these vocations in the life of the church. And I would personally benefit from the witness they would give to me as to how specifically they were serving God and the church and one another and the broader community. And I always came away from those encounters encouraged and inspired. The pandemic has put limits on us, but I assure you, there are no limits to the love of God poured into our hearts by the Holy Spirit. And if we open our hearts to God's love, there will be no limits on what you can do in service to God and to the church and to others. The immortal Dante wrote these words, "In his will, and God's will, is our peace." And I can tell you that if you open your heart widely to God's will, if you seek God's will, if you ask the Holy Spirit to help you discern God's will, and you accept it and live it, and your will is aligned with God's will for your life, I can assure you there is great peace and great happiness, and God will work through you to do great things in this world of ours, in our church and in our broader community. So if God is calling you to be a priest, there's only one right answer. It's yes. If God is calling you to enter a religious community, a men's community or a woman's community, there's one right answer. It's yes. If you've been called to marriage and family, surely it's the case that our church and our community needs good, strong families. If you've been called to become a permanent deacon, let's say you're in your mid-30s and you're already married, we need good permanent deacons in the life of this local church. Or maybe it's the fact that the Lord is calling you to some other special service, either in the church or in the broader community. Whatever it is, you have to pray. You have to open your heart to the love of God that comes to us through the Holy Spirit. And you have to have that willing spirit, just like Mary, so that you can say, "Let it be done to me, O Lord, just as you say." God bless you, and God keep you always in his love.